Hello, Music Multiverse listeners. Welcome to episode 6 of Album Reviews Saturdays 2026. It's time to review albums here. We do it each week, and usually I've got a co host, but this week I'm flying solo. And you know what that means? I can absolutely be heavy, more avant garde than usual. So let's take the band aid off. Let's rip into some of these albums. And maybe they're not for the faint of heart or ear for that matter. They have a dark and adventure quality to them. Although, don't turn that dial if you're not into this stuff, because one of these albums is actually something you should hear. It's a contender for Album of the Year. I'm not kidding you. And there's a uniqueness in all of these that are all over the place within these. It's just, this is a realm where some people get all offended, wretched by vocal tenacities and growls and stuff. But in actuality, there are a couple here today that are gangbuster. When I started my music collection, exploration, and overall obsession in the music multiverse, it had a vastness to it at that point. But there were certain cultures of music that were not on the radar in the 1980s, just like there were some that were not anywhere near the radar in the 1950s. While I will hold to the old school opinion that the 70s certainly brought about an interesting and vast intermingling of music associated with the past into the sounds of ever-changing music landscape of the present, and maybe even to the future, some of them, I do believe it happens in every decade to some varying degree or another. Obviously, if you're not paying attention like I do, you're going to miss out on some of these things, and you're going to be stuck in your environment and not hearing these kind of things. But as I push you a little bit further, as I tinkle this little thing in front of you or jangle that, you pay attention and you find something that does hearken to your musical landscape, but it goes a little bit beyond. And this is kind of one of those where you may find your appreciation. I did not have an appreciation for much of this at my stages back in the late 90s, early 2000s. I leave the educational side of things, like the history of things, like to people like Andy Edwards, okay? They can tell you about how this all happened. But let's face it, metal enters at a certain point, blues changes and enters into a certain point, and jazz goes from bop to where it is today somehow or another, and in what time and by whom. And that's arguable points, which is great. But I'm the more of the obsessive listener, appreciator, and pontificator. But this week in my loneliness, as Dan not joining me, I go into influential, explorative edges of incoming meshes, kamikazes, if you will, in an all-in kind of mentality, a drumming testament to future recordings, or at least in my humble opinion. Welcome to a very interesting, integrated, and intimidating Album Review Saturdays, episode 6. Let's begin. Gavial. Thanks. I hate it. Hey, why don't we come out and just say it with the record label we're on, right? They're on Exile on Mainstream Records. It says it all. And then some. Just click and you'll get a wondrous amount of musicians, bands that have different types, collisions, concentrating on this excellent piece here in the psychedelic-minded rock trip that's coloring in the lines of some nostalgic variety, which is the spice of life, right? And the life of this very talented, going places German band. Yep. I know what you're thinking when you start listening, but get a little further in, because they will change your Koru mindset, as the song says, as if they somehow changed the homage channel. In just 8 minutes, Gavial, a quartet formed over, last 12, 15 years and different names, which I, again, will let you go off on that on your own, have come to entrap a psychedelic phantom in a modern riff, drone, and even in the mindset of a Black Keys groove. then you're sucked in. It's got a groove. There's more, though, which showcases the attention to detail of this swirling past, the omnipresent, and searching for another sound that they're continued to do. They're chasing the psychedelic phantom that can exist, it seems, on any given musical plane. This man's voice is like butter. Wait, he's Benjamin Butter. Yeah. If the name fits, right? You go. This young man has it. He has this quiet rage, kind of an ethereal mode of delivery that, with his own vocal and production, is able to both hit you intensely and calmly, all at the same time, kind of blending it with the effortlessly delivered Pink Floydian, slide psych, and stonerism guitar work that's swirling within track after track. The first to catch you is Pretender. The trampled pathways, all your friends and all your don't mistake the pain for that thing. It's really worth it. In the end, and if not, well, you are going to discover that it is so it postulates what feels like decades of music experience and production, and then Grow, which flows in this bluesy riff cloud. That allows the butter on top to soulfully manifest, and an almost Soundgarden meets a Screaming Trees on the wings of solo guitaring that might remind you in moments of Clapton meets Vaughan. Yeah, Stevie Ray. When you're chasing phantoms, you need to become one yourself. And this band's Thanks, I Hate It has them kind of truly encapsulating that very, very same thing. That ideal out-of-body experience right up until the very end, which will surprise and haunt everyone. I promise you, it just will. The band handles their musical creativity like the delicate handling of herbs that get placed throughout the cooking process. There are places where there's some generous herbing, then there's a pinch, like that delicate country feel and layered ambient texture. The sound canceling experience will surely capture. And if you don't, you got to put this in your ears, right? This is one of those albums that does not need to be, coming from a computer or maybe even your car stereo if it's limp. This is one of those generous musicalities. Leviathan is the sound of a blossoming, carefree U2 dropping that rattle and hum, raw blues, sonic anger, and you will never tire of a single track or the timing of it. Marvelously made. It's careful in its craft from beginning, middle, and end. This is a miracle of an album in our times, kind of against the usual grain and idiosyncrasies that hearken and kind of ruin this this genre. Too predictable, right? This is not a predictability in this one. This leads us to the finale, okay? And in a very odd choice at first, but perfectly placed, perfectly delivered, and it kind of it it leaves a stinging humming in your ears, kind of. And I'm not talking about the kind when you leave a rock concert. It's that kind of, did I just really hear that? Is it possible that one song that's brilliantly done by the originator and covered brilliantly by other people is once again brilliantly and differently covered? It is Wicked Game. You heard it. It's the last track on the album. And the entire album is an absolute wicked game changer. I promise you. You thought I was going to start off this with like the curious case of Benjamin Butter, didn't you? Admit it. Now let's move on to Phendrana cathexis. This is Mexico's Phendrana, a multi-musical personality that I liken to blood incantation, but not on the same musical sphere. I don't want you to take that comparison completely. Get ready for an instrument. It's like an all-in. Every instrument has to be included for some reason, somehow, because the man plays every instrument. So why not, right? This is progressively unique metal act that has an opera all its own with cathexis. There's kind of light, there's shadow, and then full on eclipse, and emotional upheaval and tenderness acting in almost tandem. For some, this might be what you would expect, but for me, this is my first experience in the depths of the progressive avant-garde soul here. You're thinking that I've spoiled it all by starting with this description, but I haven't even scratched the surface of the art, the musicality, or even the impressive, evocative use of amazing guests that are on this. Let's get into the concentration of mental energy on one particular person, an idea, or object. And this is going to be to an almost unhealthy degree, but it will be more than what you were expecting even in that. So this is what cathexis is. So my only warning here is this album, for some reason, was not recorded to be on certain devices. I think, I don't know whether it was just my own, but two devices I had, I thought the sound quality didn't come as like it should, and I had it in my earbuds, these, right, and it was completely different, totally engaging, enrapturing, deep, crazy. So that's my warning, my only warning. I do have an issue on this than the recording, I guess. So I don't know if there is something that makes that happen. I'm not a production, engineer. So just take that with a grain of salt when you start. Make sure you put it in the headphones, or some wicked stereo you have that's attached to digital. This intro, and this is why I'm saying this, because the intro is very much like that of a symphonic coming, brewing of a mental storm. You can hear the tapping of rain, maybe, and the underscore of the symphony yielding off in the distance. It's called lamento. And if you don't have it in the right listening apparatus, it could be like you can't hear it at all, nor the incoming wording that's kind of important from the female voice of an articulate Anna Bittron. This sets us up to go into the 4 songs. In actuality, it's 3, but that last song has this 2-part name where it's called The Effigy and the Titan. That will be the arc of musical storytelling, the artful, progressive, operatic presentation, which is an onslaught of blendings of the following: classical, jazz, metal, black metal, experimental rock with even a hint of that not so shoegaze, maybe a death gaze. I don't know. This is all in the mindset of one incredible talent and deep dive of a songwriter that loves a spotlight on music itself rather than himself, including a drumming part in Sentience that will seem impossible. To beautiful acoustic guitar work he's got in here, darkly angled flute, even. Yeah, you Jethro Tull lovers, you're in for a little something here. And then elegantly groovy, evil saxophone. Yep, it's all there. Double bass drum, screaming growl vocal, beautiful harmonic calls, elongating progressive technical metal, and the ending, which features an 18-minute epic doomer that starts with a solitary piano in a very draconian mood, a cello finding its usual sinister calling. I love the cello, and this is what it's made for, and it's put to use, shifting all of this, as you might expect, into something altogether different, which also features the vocal diabolical dirge of Daniel Drost of Ahab. It's impenetrable. It's entrancing. It's impressively written dark material in the hands of some very willing participants who very much understand the principle, the power, and the progressive songwriting of Anwar Saloom. This album goes into beautiful black metal places thanks to him, his efforts that captivate, like Opeth, like Paradise Lost, and that melted space I talked about on Unknown Sundays last year. I can't remember all the people involved in this particular project or that particular project, but I got to feel that there's some overlap somewhere in this, and I didn't get a chance to look it up. Time was of the essence, right? So I get this out to you. But there is those comparisons. It has the power of opera, the beauty of symphony, and the darkest of progressive metal and instruments, which includes the multiple personality inflictions and pursuits of the vocalists, ending as it started with the words of Anna Bittrennen. The multi-instrumentalist vocalist and composer Anwar Saloom is a very rare talent. He is in a realm of the music multiverse that I'm still exploring at this point, very gingerly, sometimes aggressively, and with a keen ear for the beauty and the reasoning of it all. It doesn't always completely happen, but on Cathexis, I found myself in complete mental and audio rapture again and again. He is the titan to come if we just give him the listen. Earn, setting fire to the sky. I mean, it's hard to declare a band the heaviest or the hardest in this field of play. It's just an impossibility. It's even more difficult when the band doesn't exactly fit all into those heavy metalcore, thrash, or stoner sludge categories. However, it makes you stand up and take notice, though, right? Setting Fire to the Sky is an album that I firmly believe has the production and commitment to make Earn do exactly what their album title suggests in metaphor. This is one hell of a heavy metal band disguising itself with metal, disguising itself with sludge. There's stoner intent and combinations of vocal tenacities, much like Phendrana. There's not a solitary moment of this set that isn't on fire in some way or form. The title track is an all-in entity in the shred itself. It's got riff, it's roaring vocals, pummeling of the skins that work. It kind of accentuates like every inch of the shifty 6-minuter that it is. This is the place where I understand the growl vocal, its exaggeration, its temperament, manifesting not only testosterone meets animalism, but how it hangs in there with the speed of the guitar, and leading to setting fire to the sky. This is serious business. And if there is a rolling drum moment, it's done so fast, intentful, punishingly, that it doesn't seem anywhere near like it's ear candy, right? Dream Theater puts that together like ear candy in a way to me. It doesn't seem heavy enough. It doesn't seem like evil enough, right? It seems placed. This doesn't. I think this is the best recording of drums I've heard in a very long time. It's monstrous in a way. It's almost like in the mix, it's alive. Even as it's keeping, it's somehow leading and pushing the tempo in a lot of places. Song is called Towards the Harmony Hall, is an example of my thought process of how it becomes the pulse and signature, even with the accompaniment of acoustic guitar, electric guitar, and ambient production that's in it. It leaves this song above the elegance it has, making it heavier than it might have originally been intended, and is not the heaviest song on the record, or not the lightest song on the record. Still, incredible positioning and process by the band. I'm so impressed. I'm just loving it. Even when it comes off at the very end of the track, because at the end, it's hard. It's crushing. Because it's just drum. And the reason they get to do that is because it was drum led. Earn is a newly acquired taste along my never-ending music listing journey. Setting Fire to the Sky, it's aggressive, it's tasteful, it's incredibly paced metal record. It'll be hard to forget this one as the year moves on. It will be equally hard to stay away from the rabbit hole exploration of Serpent and Spirit and A Feast on Sorrow, which are available to listen to from 21 and 2023. The last thing I will state about this album is the album cover. Earn not only nails the coloring and the embodiment of how light it can be darkening, but it also manages to capture that in the name's font, leaving that title simple underneath. I just love that. Harken the waves, my metal lovers, as they really bring in some creative instrumentation, heaviness that seem like you've never heard it quite like this before. We even get to hear a gothic Last Breath, which leads into Nocturnal Forms, being the bonus track. This might be the only slip up in the whole thing, really, because it hurts how it comes off, because the bonus track is so much heavier, whereas Breath is just that's like the last breath. It really is. But that's nonetheless, I will be not dismayed over this, though. Spine Farm, the record label here, has a real hit on their hands for sure. Earn is coming up. All right, the extras. M0L. Is it Mall? It's called Dream Crush. Death Gaze, New Black Gaze, I guess they're calling it. This is an interesting intermingling of metal and heavy shoegaze in places. It's been coming around, maybe a little bit of drone. You do have the direct growl and metal, but the instrumental and tamer vocal instances are unique bridges. They got tones that work from time to time. Kind of drawing your ear in a different listening approach. Ultimately, kind of though, with that going on, you wonder why the harsh vocal is that bounce back and forth and what it truly means. And I struggled with that as it went on, but I do understand where people are coming from when they're likening this record to something that they're interested in, and it has a this death gaze, dream crush kind of quality. It's something different. It somewhat is. So next up is Lord Elephant, Ultra Soul on the Heavy Psych Sounds record, and this is where this needs to be. This is Italian stoner rock instrumental. It has everything and then some here for you. This is right in the wheelhouse of this record label, of the people who listen to this, myself included. Heavy riffing, metal in there. There's just a jamming idea and concept of this, like an Earthless maybe. Heavy blues riff. And while there's not an entire uniqueness to it, the way it's delivered is pointed and jammy at the same time. All the instrumentation is marvelously done. I don't think there's anything out of place or that would seem forced. The band is extremely tight, and in that wheelhouse, there's nothing to complain about. It's right there. The only problem is it may get lost in the idea of the entire music multiverse, especially in the category of stoner rock, heavy riff, blues, heavy rock, because of there's just a monumental amount of these that come out. And it's hard to stand out, but I do believe these guys hit it hard, hit it heavy, and it sounds great. Finally, I end on something completely different for me in a way. This is Old Sorcery, The Outsider. This is like a blackened, I don't know, it's not quite symphonic in any way because of the industrial thing that's going on here. It's like a metal tornado that escape cannot happen from. The atmosphere goes murky even in the audio, and there's some uncensored, underscored fuzz and distortion that's purposely leading this into an almost Italian macabre kind of underscored horror. It's interesting noise implementation, a punishing soundscape in some cases. that's just all in first track. That's 20 minutes. Yeah, it's unintelligible growl in there too, occasionally. Nothing huge. But Borrow Grim Asylum leads somewhere slow and menacing. Even though you have no hope that it's there, or you don't want to go there, you go there anyway. The experience is meant to be like this, and the rewards of something could be of a progressive black metal nature in a way, but doesn't come off that way. Um, you need a survivalist ear for this. Even the Depeche Mode synth bass line in the interior gates of the True Soul is profound and different. But ultimately, you know where this started and where it ends up. But it's an experience nonetheless. So, what did you think of these 6 records? Where were you on Gavial? Is it an album of the year contender? Is it something that you were maybe thinking it would be? And then, of course, Vendrana, this Mexican progressive metal and more symphonic opera, everything all in. It's just, you got to hear this record. It's with saxophone in it too. It's just ridiculous. And that saxophonist is actually, I think, from Mars Volta. So Dan will be back next week, and we'll have another 6 for you for sure. We've already started those already. We're on the web at beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, of course, as well as now TikTok. I throw some things up there, not all. Albums, bands, artists, anything we can get our hands on. Beyond Your Radio, that's a real music appreciation channel. There will not be an Unknown Sunday tomorrow, Super Bowl Sunday, so why not? We did it again. Of Sound Minds. We're talking about, of all things, of course, the Super Bowl halftime show. So check that out before the game starts. See what we have for you. As always, thanks for watching and happy listening.